Alrighty. I'm just going to do a real quick sound check here. And I want to make sure that my cameras are working. And all right, so because I'm going to show you guys quite a few things today. So I'm just real quick check here because I'm also going to show you guys some cool things in my iPad. So I make sure that the screens look the way they're supposed to look here. So let me see. All right, so yeah, so that looks pretty good. All right, so let me go ahead and switch my screen back here. It's good to see a few familiar faces. So first of all, I wanted to thank you guys for showing up. I know it's a little late, 7 p.m. I noticed that I don't know if you guys noticed that I've been doing these lives a little bit more often. I'm going to try to make them a little bit more regular, maybe every couple of weeks or so. This class is going to have a slightly different format than the classes I've done before, where normally I will do like step 1, step 2, step 3. What I want to do is I'm going to actually cover a few things and they will cover different kind of themes, if that makes sense. But I guarantee you, even if you're a complete beginner, I will make sure that you will be able to follow along. And yeah, so again, I will still try my best to keep this under an hour because I know that we have things to do and family to spend time with and all that good stuff and football games to watch. So, Mr. Chase, it's good to see you. Good to see you. Let me know who's in the chat box. Just give me a thumbs up. It actually does help the channel. And for those of you guys who are new, just go ahead and click the like button because what that does is it tells the YouTube algorithm that this video is good and it'll show it to more people, whether it's live or whether it's going to go up as a recording. So if you haven't hit the like button, just go ahead and do that or just say hi in the comments section. That would be really, 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 really helpful. So we have quite a few people in here, so I'm not going to wait too long. For those of you guys who missed the first couple of minutes, you can just go ahead and catch the replay and we'll go from there. So just a couple of announcements before we get started. I have my little script here. One of the things that I would like to ask you guys to do, and I do have incentives for you guys. If I am able to deliver on my value, the things that I teach you is helpful, let me know in the chat box if there are other folks, let's say, music enthusiasts, artists, songwriters, producers, who you might feel would find interest in this content that you could refer to me. If you are able to do that, let me know in the comments section. And if you are able to do that, I will give you guys the tools to be able to send out text messages really quick, emails really quick, and then be able to kind of get that process going. And so with that said, hello, Miss Thelma. Good to see you. Good to see you. So here are the incentives. If you are, let's say if you refer 2 people who, and all I have to do is just submit their email. That's pretty much just easy. So if you submit 2 people before the live class is over, you get to get like a spotlight in my my Instagram and my platform. So let's say if you have an upcoming project coming up that you would like for me to share, if you can get 2 people to sign up, it doesn't have to be to this video, but just have them submit their email to you and then, refer other folks. If you get 2 people to do that, I will make sure that whatever you want me to share on my Facebook page, my Instagram has over 6,000 followers. My Facebook has over 18,000. And my YouTube, I think, has over 4,000 subscribers. So it's a lot of people to show your work to. So if you can do that, let me know in the chat box if you know some folks who would be interested, because it'll let me know if I need to give you guys the information to refer. It's a really, really easy process, I promise. So it's good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. I'm just going to shout out a few OGs here. Mr. Lynn Chase is here. Good evening. Good to see you. Good to see you. Ms. Thelma's here. I got, again, my folks who have been with me for many, many years. All right, so there's enough people in here. So there's a couple of things that I want to go over. I want to go over some ear training. We're going to go over some rhythm exercises. We're going to go over some chord based, all of that good stuff. So you look at like a full kind of I guess you say full circle kind of lesson here. All right, so one of the first things that I wanted to cover, and I'm just making sure that I covered my little announcements here. Yes, you do. Awesome, Mr. Chase. Good, good, good. Yeah, all right. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get started with the lesson. And then for those of you guys who know other people that you can refer, I'll just put the instructions in the actual the chat box for you. All right, so what we're going to do, the first thing that we're going to cover is, where's my list here, is we're going to cover how to play basic melodies by ear. And one of the reasons why this is important for me to cover is because a lot of people have this idea that playing by ear is a gift. Either you have it or you don't. And a lot of people have this misconception that if you don't have the gift of playing by ear, then it's lost to you. That means you don't have access to it. But you'd be very surprised that a lot of people actually can learn how to play by ear. If you don't know how to do it instinctually, you would just need reference points. And that's what I'm going to cover right now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen over. Let me know if you guys can see my keyboard here. So I have my little handy dandy Yamaha keyboard. And so one of the things you have to do, and a lot of people wouldn't really know this, is that you would have to first, in order for you to figure out a melody by ear, the first thing you have to do is figure out what key a song is in. What does that even mean? Let me put my do not disturb on. So the thing that, one of the reasons why, or the way that you have to learn the keys or what key a song is in. Let me see here. So what does it mean by a song being in a particular key? So you have all these keys here, and just for reference, for those of you who are new, you have white keys, you have black keys. The white keys are named by alphabetical letters. You notice the black keys are in groups of 2 and 3. Now we'll be referencing this throughout the class so you guys can follow along. So you have 2, 3, 2, 3, so on and so forth. C is the white key to the left of the 2 black keys. And it goes D, E, F, G, A, B, and then the next C. And then from there, it just goes D, E. So it's just the same 12 keys that repeat themselves over and over again. So that's the first thing you need to know. The black keys, they do have names, but their names are basically referenced by their neighboring white keys. So if I do use a black key, I will give you the name as we go along because they're a little bit more complicated. So what do I mean by what key a song is in? If I was to play, for example, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, right? And let's say I play the song in the key of C. The key of C is basically kind of like the key that every other note or every other chord kind of goes back to. So we're in the key of C, right? So it's kind of like the home page of a website, right? But what happens if I change the key? Let's say if we were playing the same song, but in the key of G. So this is G right here, because remember C, D, E, F, G. Right? Now we're in this key. Versus this key. So if I was to play the same song in the key of G, it would sound like this. So you can hear the difference between the sounds in terms of how it's played in the key of C, how it's played in the key of G, because you can clearly hear that there's a difference in tone, even though it's the same song. That is pretty much the foundation of learning music by ear. But one of the things you have to listen for, again, is what key the song is in. And then once you figure out the key of the song, then everything else about the melody makes it easier to figure out. Because finding the key of the song helps you narrow down to what exactly the notes are that you are dealing with. Because if you're in a particular key, that particular key only uses a specific group of notes versus if you were in another key, that other key might use a different set of notes or scale degrees. So that's the first thing, is you need to figure out what key the song is in. And that's something that does take a little bit of time. You may not be able to figure it out when you're listening to a song. You may have to kind of just play around with it. And I do have in my Piano 360 membership, which I'll talk about a little bit later, where there's real exercises on how to figure out the key of the song. But as long as you understand the concept for this live, that's all you need to know. And by the way, for those of you guys who do want I have a free Piano in 3 Steps video where we go over naming the keys, basically how to name basic chords and how those chords are used in real-time songs. And this is great for songwriters and producers who want to use these chords for future songs. If you want that Piano in 3 Steps video, I'm going to put that in the description and also in the chat box if you're watching this live. But if you're watching this on the recording, it'll be in the description. So go ahead and sign up for that before you leave here. We'll go ahead and pop it in the chat box. All right, so again, if you're a current student, you probably already have it. But if you're new, it's free. You can just sign up for it, and it'll give you a 3-step video if you're a complete beginner. So now that we know what key a song is in, let's go back to the key of C. Right? If we're in the key of C, let's just use Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for our example, since we've already used that. And we're trying to figure out how to play this song by ear, right? If you can sing it in this particular key, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. That's actually you hearing the song by ear. It's just you're singing it versus playing it. But if you're able to get close to those notes, you don't have to be the best singer in the world, but if you can sing those notes in this key, that's actually you hearing the song in your head. So that's actually you knowing the song by ear without you realizing that that's what it is. So the song, the notes that you hear in your head that you can sing, all you have to do is just translate it to the piano. But you have to know what notes you're dealing with. So with that said, in the key of C, and this is just a rapid fire example, we have these things called scales, right? So a C major scale would start with C and end with C. And in this case, it's using all white keys. Now, there are different types of scales. There's minor scales and there's blues scales. And again, all of that's covered in the membership. But for this example, we are dealing with the C major scale. We're C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Why are we dealing with this scale? Because the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star song uses the notes from this scale. So that means we only have to think about C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. We don't have to really think about the other keys. We know that every note that is in that melody is going to be one of these notes in the key. So all we have to do is sing it, right? So if we start in the key of C, we go twinkle, and we just get to a note that matches the note that we are hearing in our head or singing in our head. So twinkle, and we know that there's a jump, twinkle. So we may have to work our way up the scale to get to that note. So we'll do this together, right? Twinkle, twinkle, not quite D, so we'll do it again. Twinkle, twinkle. Nah, sounds cool, but it's not the right note. So let's try it again. So twinkle, twinkle, close, but not quite. So let's try it again. Twinkle, twinkle. We have a winner. It's G. And even the number of times you sing it, twinkle, twinkle, it's 2 times C and 2 times G. So that's also incorporated in what we hear. Is not just what note we're singing, but how long the note is sung for, how long the note is played, or how many times that note is repeated. So C, C, G, G. And if we hear the next note in our head, it's higher. So we got twinkle, twinkle, little. And again, if you notice, I'm using the notes from the C scale. So we're in the key of C. We're going to deal with the C scale. So twinkle, twinkle, little star. So now we're going little star, you notice there's a change in direction. We're going lower. So that means whatever the next note is going to be a lower note. So let's go ahead and experiment with that. So twinkle, twinkle, little star. So the word star goes down one key and you only play it once, right? Let's keep going. So we got twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I. So again, the note goes lower again and it's played twice. So let's see if it's F. How I. So that's the F note, right? And then wonder what you. So we're really just going down in a step-by-step fashion. We're just playing each note twice. So twinkle, so we start from the beginning. Twinkle, jump up, twinkle, step up, little, step down, star. And then from there, it just kind of goes down in a step-by-step fashion. How I wonder what you are. And guess what the last note is? C. So it's really a matter of knowing your keys and knowing the scales that belong to those keys. And those scales become the navigation system for what it is that you're looking for when it comes to melodies by ear, chords by ear. All of those things come from that particular key's scale. And every single one of these keys has its own set of scales. So just like the C, the key of C has a C scale, G has a G scale, E has an E scale, D has a D scale. So those become your benchmarks for what you're listening for. Even if you're hearing a melody in your head, if you know the key and if you familiarize yourself with the scale, which is also covered in the 360 membership, then you'll be able to use that scale as your guide for figuring out what melody is in your head if you are putting a song together or if you are putting a beat together. So let me know if that makes sense so far. Give me a thumbs up if that part made sense. And or just, you know, if you have questions, by the way, you feel free to put them in the chat box. I can see them from here. I'm not personally on YouTube. I'm using a streaming app, but I can see whenever someone puts a comment up there, I'll be able to answer questions in between my lessons here. So, and I have a rule where it's like, if I don't see people commenting, I assume that they understand the content. I'm just going to keep going. So I don't want you guys to be like, oh, I had a question, but, or I was confused about something, but you didn't say anything. So I encourage you guys to ask questions in the comments if something is unclear in terms of what I talked about. You guys say, I see a thumbs up here. Good, 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 good. Andre Will says, awesome. Miss Thelma Riley says, yes. All right, so before I move on to the next segment. So again, for those of you guys who are new to the chat, welcome. If you missed the first part, you can just catch the replay. But again, if you have not hit the like button, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm show this video as a recording to more people, which means more people for future classes. So if you haven't hit that like button, please do so now. And also, if you guys notice, there's a little bottom third here. If you guys want to support, you can just go ahead and throw me a Cash App. It can be whatever amount, doesn't really matter. But the Cash App is The Musical Web with 2 B's. I love the song choice and singing and listening and playing by ear. Yes, I chose that song on purpose because it's a simple. Oh, look, Miss Pam is here. Good to see you. Good to see you. I love all these familiar faces and new faces too. But I picked that song because everyone knows it, right? And it's a very easy song to remember. You can sing it. If you can sing it in your head, if you know the notes, it's easy to play on the keyboard. The only barrier is just knowing how to navigate the piano. But once you know how to navigate the piano, the same part of your brain that knows how to sing it is the same part of your brain that knows how to relay it on the keys. So hopefully that clarifies, and hopefully it gives you guys some encouragement for those of you guys who want to play by ear. What would be a good piano for a new player? Oh, that is a good question. So this is a question I get a lot, especially for those who are new students who buy my courses and then they buy the piano later. I will spend a few minutes on sharing some options with you guys. And as a matter of fact, before I get into that, for those of you guys who said that you would refer other people, again, if you guys refer 2 people before this live ends, and I'm going to get to the question in a second here. So I'm going to put, so there's 2 steps. That's all I got to do. All I got to do, and then what you got to do basically is there's a message, and you literally just copy and paste it. For those of you, or for those folks who you think would be a good fit for watching these free videos, all you have to do is just text word for word what I'm about to put in the chat box. It's just, hey, my piano teacher has a free piano class on YouTube for beginner chords and songwriters. If you want the video, just text me back your email address. That's all they have to do is just text back their email address. If you text it to them, I'm assuming you already have their phone number. So all they have to do is just text back their email. And when they text back their email, all you're going to do is put their information in this link here, which I'm about to put in the chat box below the message. So you're just going to text the message out to people word for word. I shared the link by text to 3 people for this live. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, make sure that you send them the link that I just put in the chat box. Because what that does, that particular link that I have in the chat box, there's an extra field in there where you put your name as the referral. So that at the top, it's going to ask for you to put their information in, and at the bottom, it's going to say who referred this person. If you put your name there, it'll help me keep track of who sent who. If you send them to the regular link, I won't know who sent that person. So just make sure you use the link in the description box or in the chat box I just put in there. So just go ahead and just blast it out. And so while you guys are doing that, I want to answer this very good question. What would be a good piano for a new player? It depends on a couple of things. I'm going to go over these options. Do you ever record with keyboards on the computer? Oh, I might add that to the answer. So it depends on a few things. Number one, it depends on your budget, because there's different types of keyboards and different types of functions. It also depends on your, how do I put this, level of commitment, right? So if you are, okay, I'm gonna go through the different levels, right? So there's obviously the piano, the actual acoustic piano, which is the most expensive. Those usually start in the few thousands, but for those who want to know, you do not need an acoustic piano to start either my memberships or my courses, right? So with that said, you have those obvious options. And then you have the electronic keyboards. The way those break down, and I'm going to go from like top to bottom, you have the digital pianos, right? That's the one that you see here. This is a digital piano. Here, let me show you guys. You can't see the whole thing, but a digital piano has 88 keys, just like an acoustic piano does. The purpose of a digital piano is to have the same feel and the same functionality as a real piano without the price point of a real piano. So as I mentioned before, real pianos, they start in the few thousands. A digital piano, and me personally, the brands that I like are the Yamahas. Yamahas you can't go wrong with because they last for a long time. Casio has stepped their game up with the digital pianos. So you have the Yamaha P45 or any other P series pianos, digital pianos. Casio Privia is another good piano, a digital piano. It's lightweight. It's about maybe 20, 25 pounds. So you can just put it on the table somewhere. You can put it on a desk. You can put it on a stand. That's pretty cheap. And they run usually in the few hundreds. So if you have that budget, the reason why I like those is because not only do you get the full board, right, all 88 keys, but they're also weighted. And weighted means that when you press down on the key, it has the same weight as an acoustic piano. That way, it's not like a culture shock when you go from a flimsy keyboard to a real piano. They're like, oh, these keys feel different. So the digital piano has the full weighted keys, which is the same feel as a real piano, where you can build finger strength. And so again, the digital pianos are good for people who A, have the budget for a digital piano, and B, they see themselves, kind of doing it for the long haul. So that's the digital piano level. And then you have the more, the smaller keyboards, which are like the Yamaha PSR. Usually those are the ones I recommend. Those come in the size of 76 keys, which is smaller. And the keys are not heavy. They're not like the weighted keys are a little bit, if you were to flick them, it's kind of like a spring action, right? So you can do a 76 key keyboard, or the smaller one, they have smaller PSRs, it's the 61 keys. So if you don't have the budget for a digital piano, or if you don't have the space for a digital piano, but you want to at least get started, the Yamaha PSR 61 key or 76 keys are good keyboards to start with. You can probably get away with using those for maybe like a year or so before you would probably have to upgrade if you want to go with it for the long haul. But those start at about 100. They run between $100 to $200. You can get a used one if you're lucky. If you go to Guitar Center, or if you go to Sam Ash, you can probably get a used keyboard for like $60, $70. But I would probably try Amazon first. I'm gonna tell you why. Because sometimes Amazon gives you deals on the keyboard, the stand, the headphones, and the bench, and the sustain pedal. They call it a survival kit, where they'll give you all of those things for a good deal. So I would shop around on Amazon to see what deals you can get for not just the keyboard, but all the other accessories that can make playing piano easier. And also compare that to your local music store, Guitar Center. I think Sam Ash is no longer in business. So those are your options. So hopefully that answers your question as far as the keyboards go. Now, someone else asked a question about the keyboard on the computer. The concern I have with the keyboard on the computer is you don't build the physical motor skills required to play the piano. You have the convenience of having the keyboard, like say if you're putting beats together, or if you're using, let's say, Logic Pro, and you're using the keyboard on there, that can work. But when it comes to learning piano, you're going to need to use your actual fingers. You're going to need to put your fingers on an actual keyboard to get the full learning experience, to build technique, to build speed, to get accustomed to playing chords, to get accustomed to, again, building motor skills and finger independence. You will only be able to get that on a real keyboard. But again, if you're on a budget, you can do a 61 key keyboard. They're really cheap and they're really lightweight. You can put them on a dining table. They're super easy to put on like a desk. You don't need like the full, space for a small keyboard. So again, if you need to start with that, that can work as well. So hopefully that answers the question about the keyboard. Let me go ahead and pop this in here. So yeah, I hope that that's helpful. And so again, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on. I want to make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to cover for the first session. And also the little announcements that I put. All right, so lesson 2. So we talked about melodies, right? I want to get into one particular genre that comes up very often, and blending it in with another topic that also comes up. I want to go over at least one chord that is heavily used in R&B music. And that one chord is called the major 7th chord. And you're probably like, what is a major 7th chord? What does that even mean? I promise you I will get into that in a second. So lesson 2 is going to be about the one chord that is used. Well, there's a bunch of different chords that are used in R&B songs, but since this is a beginner lesson, I'm going to go over one, and I'm going to show you how it's used in R&B music. So we'll get some examples. We'll have all of that good stuff. So again, just for reference, we are going to first name the keys on the keyboard. If you remember, we have black and white keys, and the white keys are named by alphabetical letters. You have 2 black keys, 3, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And C is the white key to the left of the 2 black keys, right? And then after C, it's D. After D, it's E. After E, it's F. After F, it's G. After G, it's A. After A, it's B. And then it goes to the next C. And then the cycle just starts over. So it's the same 7 white keys and the same 5 black keys that repeat themselves in higher tone going to the right and in lower tone going to the left. So what is a chord? First of all, we need to go over that part. A chord is when you have, in a nutshell, 3 or more notes being played at the same time or in lockstep. So this is an example of a chord, right? So, and you have different types of chords. You have major chords, which sound happy. You have minor chords that sound sad. You have diminished chords, which sound dramatic. You have augmented chords, that sound, as people say, mysterious. But we're not going to get into all that. That was just me introducing you guys to what a chord is. So if I was to play a song without chords, let's go back to the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star example, it would just be the melody. If I were to play the same song with chords, this is the role that chords play in songs. So it gives you an idea of the energy of the song, and it kind of acts as a filler versus just playing the melody. So what is the one chord that is used, or one of the chords that are used in R&B songs? The chord that we're going to go over is called the major seventh chord. Now, I may cover on another occasion why it's called a seventh chord, but just know that a seventh chord is just a 4-note chord, right? Now, there are different types of seventh chords, but the basis of it is a seventh chord has 4 keys as opposed to just 3. So what is a seventh chord here? So a seventh chord, if we were to start with the key of C, right? And if you were to build what's called a C major seventh chord, where C is the root, we would skip a key to get to E, to the second note. We would skip a key, a white key, to get to G, right? And then we would skip another white key to get to B. So the structure of the C major seventh chord is C, E, G, and B, right? And you hear how it sounds different than just the regular 3 notes. The regular 3 notes just sounds very basic, but if you add that 4th note in there, it kind of gives a richer kind of sound, right? So how do we build a major seventh chord? So what you have to do, and this is something that may take a little bit of time, and the reason I'm showing this to you is because if you do it this way, you'll be able to play this seventh chord in any key. But before I get into that, I want to remind you again, if you have not gotten my free piano in 3 steps video, where I show songwriters and producers how to play basic notes on the piano and how to play chords that they can use in their next project or song, the link is in the description. If you're watching live, it's in the chat box. So just remember to go ahead and grab that before you leave this session. So here, right, if I start with the first note, and we're going to now include the black keys for this. So think of these numbers. 3, I'm sorry, what was it? Okay, just memorize this this pattern. 4, 3, 4. That's all you gotta think about. 4, 3, 4. So this is what I mean. If I start with this key, right, if I wanted to build a C major seventh chord, and you'll see that when I apply this calculation, we're going to come up with the same exact notes in terms of C. So the first thing I'm going to do, again, the first number is 4. That means I'm going to count 4 keys, including the black and white keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I come to E, right? The next number is 3, which means from this note, I'm going to count 3 keys, including the black and white keys. 1, 2, 3, right? And to get to the 4th key, I'm going to count that last number, 4, from this note. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I count from the bottom note, if I count 4 keys, 3 keys, 4 keys, I'm going to always get a major seventh chord, no matter what key I'm in. And that's the reason why it's important to know that. So the C major seventh chord is not the C major seventh chord because it has C, E, G, and B. It's the C major seventh chord because of that 4, 3, 4 calculation that happens to give us the C, E, G, and B result. So what do I mean by being able to play the same chord in any other key? I could start with, let's say, I don't know, A. if I use that same calculation, the 4-3-4, and start with A, I'm going to get an A major seventh chord. For example, if I start with A again, we start with 4 keys from A this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. This happens to give us a black key, which is C sharp, right? And then from here, we're going to count 3. So from C sharp, we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And then from E, we're going to count our final 4 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, which gives us another black key. So the A major seventh chord is going to have A, C sharp, E, G sharp. And also, I'm not expecting you guys to memorize all of these. I just want you guys to understand the concept. So we have a C major 7, and we have an A major 7, using the same calculation. So how does it show up in R&B songs, right? Now, the A major 7th chord sounds the same as the C major 7th chord, but it's just in different keys. Let's take our favorite song. Well, not favorite song, may not be your favorite song. The Alicia Keys, If I Ain't Got You, right? That chord, the major 7th chord, shows up, I believe, twice in that chord progression. So, some people don't know. There's our C7, the C major 7th chord. The first chord is a C major 7, C, E, G, B. So, some people don't know, but I don't, right? So already we're seeing how that chord shows up in an R&B song. Some of you guys may say it's a pop song, but that's, for you to figure out or for you to determine. So, well, no, if it ain't you, baby. And that final chord, when she sings it again, if I got you, right, is a G major 7th chord. So that's where it shows up again. So the first and the fourth chord are the major 7th chord. It's just the first one is a C major 7th chord. So and then the last chord is a G major 7th chord. If I So that's just a simple example of how that one chord, again, amongst many other chords that show up in R&B music, but I wanted to at least introduce you to one chord that you can start kind of experimenting with for current and future projects. So let me know if that part made sense. I know that was a lot to digest, and that was just one chord. And it was a little bit of a crash course on how chords work and the different ways in which you can approach them, in which you can calculate them. And again, they, like, all the chords that I talk about, or all the chords that exist, are pretty much in the 360 membership. So I go a little bit slower. I start with the easier chords. So I'm kind of giving you guys a little bit of a head start, or like a little bit of a jump ahead to a more difficult chord. But the more basic chords are covered in the 360 membership. And we do examples of how you can use those chords. We do exercises on using those chords in real-time songs. So let me know if that makes sense in the chat box, guys. You can give me a thumbs up. You can give me a yes. I want to make sure that I do not lose you guys as I move on. I have a couple of more things that I wanted to cover. Nothing really crazy. And I think this one is probably out of the things I'm going to cover today. Let me see something here. I was supposed to do something else here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I think this one was like the hardest one out of all of them, out of everything I'm going to cover. So I don't want you guys to think I'm going to give you guys anything crazy going forward. So, all right. So Mr. Chase says he gives me a thumbs up here. Miss Pam gives me another thumbs up. Good, good, good. Miss Thelma says, yes, that makes sense. All right, good. I'm glad you guys are following along. And so I hope that you guys are, if you guys have I'm just kind of just checking in, see if you guys have already sent out those, that referral link, the referral message, and just kind of just checking in to see how you guys are doing with that. And making sure that you guys are getting responses. And if you guys have, yes, I remember the day I taught you guys that in the previous program. The 4-3-4. Yeah, I remember when I first gave it to you guys in the premium program like 3 years ago. So yeah, that was just like a little bit of a refresher. So I'm glad that you remember that. All right, so what are we going to cover next? Again, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. I'm more than happy to go over anything that doesn't make sense. All right, so again, if you guys have not hit the like button, please do so. It helps the channel reach other people, or it helps the channel reach other people. Absolutely, you're very welcome. All right, now lesson number 3, or concept number 3, we are going to go over something that I also get very, very often. And let me go ahead and switch my camera over back to the keys. One of the things that I get very often is, Ayana, I've started learning the piano, I've been tinkering with it, but one thing that really holds me back is my left hand. My right hand is good, and most of us are right-handed, but the left hand, for some odd reason, I just cannot get it up to par with what the right hand is doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a very simple exercise that you can use to strengthen and get your left hand accustomed to playing the piano more often. Because part of the reason why the left hand lags behind is because we don't use it as often on the piano as we do the right hand. So therefore, the left hand ends up falling behind in terms of speed, in terms of dexterity, in terms of motor skills, and all of that. So I'm going to give you guys an easy exercise to play with just the left hand. And again, I'm going to reference naming the keys. We're going to go over just the white keys for this exercise. So if you notice, the keys, the piano keys are in groups of 2 and 3 as far as the black keys go. C is the white key to the left of the 2 black keys. And it goes D, E, F, G, like the alphabet. And after G, it goes A. And then after A, it's B. And then after B, it goes to the next C. And the cycle starts over. So what we're going to do, I have this exercise written down here, is we're going to move up in a scale-like fashion. We're going to do a simple exercise. So we'll be playing away some broken chords. Let me see. So I'll definitely get to the questions after this session. So I see you guys have questions in the chat box. So here's what we're going to do. And before I begin, you do need to know that for the piano, the fingers have numbers. So the thumb for the left hand is number 1. The index finger is number 2. The middle finger is number 3. The ring finger is number 4. And the pinky is number 5. Likewise with the right hand, the thumb is number 1. Index is 2, middle is 3, ring is 4, pinky is 5. So when we go over this exercise, you may hear me reference finger numbers. Just know that for the left hand, the pinky is at the bottom and it's finger number 5. The thumb is at the top and it's number 1. So just kind of keep that in mind, because a lot of people tend to get the right and left hand confused because they're mirror images of each other. So here, we're going to do an exercise. I'm going to show you how it's played. We'll spend the next 10 or so minutes just going through this really, really simple. Well, I don't say it's simple. It might be simple to me. But here's how we're going to do this. We're going to break this up into, we're going to kind of split this in half. That way you guys will be able to practice it in segments, if that's easier for you. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to start with our pinky. And you'll notice that as we go through the exercise, it's really just a simple pattern. We're going to start with our pinky, our 5th finger, on C, and it doesn't matter what C you start with. We're going to then take our middle finger and play E. We're going to take our thumb and play G. And then we'll go back to our 3rd finger, our middle finger, to E. That is really the totality of the exercise. So 5th finger on C. 3rd finger on E, 1 finger on G, and and then third finger back to E. So the easiest way to think about it is wherever the bottom note is, you skip a key going up, you skip a key going up, and then you skip a white key going back down to that middle note. So it's just, right? Yes. So C, E, G, C. That's the first part. So here's what's going to happen. Once you do that, the C, E, G, E, you're going to take your pinky and you're going to do what's called a squeeze. We're going to take our pinky, squeeze it over to D, and reposition our entire left hand. So now the pinky will be on D. The middle finger will now be on F. The thumb will now be on A. And then we'll go back to our third finger back to F. So it's the same pattern, but the starting note is different. So as opposed to starting with C, E, G, E, we shift over all the fingers, and then we have now our pinkies on D, and we're going to do that same skip a note, and skip back down. So it's D, F, A, F, right? And then we're going to do the same exact thing again. We're going to squeeze our pinky, reposition. Now our pinky is going to be on E. So we're shifting the left hand up as we go through this exercise. And then that brings our third finger to G. And then our thumb is now on B. And then we'll skip back down to where our third finger is, which is G. Right? So now we have E, G, B, G with the same bottom note, skip up, skip down pattern. And guess what we're going to do again? We're going to squeeze again to our pinky going to F, and we'll reposition everything. That brings our fifth finger to F. Our third finger goes now to A. Our thumb goes to C at the top. And then back to our third finger back to A. So before I go over the next keys, I'm going to just review C, E, G, E. And feel free to go as slow as you need to, right? So there's no race here. D, F, A, F. You shift E, G, B, G. And then F, A, C, A. Before I finish the exercise, I want to bring to your attention again that if you have not gotten my Piano in 3 Steps video, where I teach songwriters and producers how to play the piano basics, how to play basic chords, and how to use them in songs that they play and write for future projects for beats. The link is in the chat box or in the description where you can sign up for that 3-step video for free. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. So now we are here, F-A-C-A. That's where we left off. So we're halfway there. Now we're going to just do the same exact thing. We're going to shift over. We're going to squeeze our pinky over to G and move all of our fingers over a key. Now we have fifth finger on G. And I will go over this whole exercise in one sweep once I'm done. So G for the pinky. And then our third finger goes to B. And then our one finger goes to the top at D. And then we'll finally land our third finger back to B. So we have G, B, D, B. notice that we're just using the same 3 fingers. We're not making it complicated. We're just using the 5th, 3rd, and the 1st finger for this exercise. And so as you guess what we're going to do? We're going to squeeze again and shift up. Now our pinky is going to be on A. And then the 3rd finger is going to play that top C. The thumb is going to go to E at the top. And then finally, again, we're going to bring our 3rd finger back to C. We're almost done here. So we have A, C, E, C. And then we're going to, again, shift over, squeeze our pinky over to B. So this is pretty much the finalized part of the exercise. So we're going to have pinky on B. Then we're going to take our 3rd finger to play D. Our thumb is going to go up to F. And then our 3rd finger is going to come down to D. And we're going to end the exercise by using our 4th finger, our ring finger, to play C. So that's the only difference. So we have B, D, F, D, C. So I'm going to play the exercise one more time by itself. And this exercise would be good because not only does it build motor skills for your left hand, but it also teaches you how to be able to move up and down the piano with the left hand all at the same time. So let me go ahead and switch this back over here. So let me know if that was helpful in terms of, a left hand exercise that you can work with. If it's too much for you to do the whole thing, you can always just break it up. So maybe do like the first 3 or 4 shifts and just practice those. And then once you get comfortable with that, then you can add another 3 or 4, upward shifts, and then just kind of just build on the exercise. Because again, this isn't about you trying to be a virtuoso within one lesson. I understand that most of what I'm teaching you today is not going to be applicable in one sweep, but at least hopefully it'll be very, very, very helpful. Chester Green says, yes, that was excellent. I'm glad that this was helpful. Miss Thelma says, very helpful. Someone did have a question. I'm going to shoot up here. It was Chester Green. How long should I practice the major and minor scale per day? So there's different levels to it. If you are a beginner, right, you wouldn't, there's different phases. So if you already know the scales, you may only have to take 5 or so minutes. And it also, because again, each key has its own set of scales. So if you're a complete beginner, for example, then the first priority is to learn what a scale is, right? So let's say if you're working on the first scale, which usually is the C major scale, you have to learn the fingerings for that, for the right hand, the fingerings for that for the left hand, all of which is covered in the membership, by the way, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And so if you're beginning, you may want to spend a good, I tell my students who, 15, 20 minutes a day, maybe 5 days out of the week. That's all you really need to practice. So even if you work on a scale, and you may work on some other things too, you may only need about 5 or 10 minutes just to work on the scale. So you may spend 5 minutes on the right hand, 5 minutes on the left hand. So again, there's different phases to it. So there's the learning phase where you have to get used to the fingerings, right? So once you spend maybe 5 minutes a day working on that for each hand, and then the next phase is the muscle memory phase where you're getting to play it to a point where you don't have to think so much about it. That's where you get to be more confident with it. And then the next level of that would be to play both hands together. And there's different ways to play both hands together. Some ways, some people play them in opposite motions where they play the scales this way, where they go apart and together. And then there's parallel motion where they both move in the same direction. And those different types of formats require different levels of focus, which is also covered in the membership. So long story short, how long should you practice the major minor scale per day? If you have time, I mean, you can practice. I mean, I have some students who practice like an hour a day. But if you're starting out and if you have a busy schedule, you don't really need to spend that much time if you don't want to. It's really about, making sure that you get what you need out of that practice time. And sometimes it doesn't require an hour. Some people just do it because they just love playing that much. But 15, 20 minutes out of the day to practice whatever it is that you need to learn is more than sufficient when it comes to beginners. So hopefully that has help answer your question. And that's a really good question too, because I think a lot of people have this idea that you have to spend 2 hours a day to practice in order to get results. You don't need that much time. I mean, we're adults, we have other responsibilities, we travel, we got kids. Well, I don't have kids. But I know that, we all have other things going on. We have work, so a lot of people don't have that hour or 2 hours, which sometimes is the reason why they don't enroll. Because I don't have an hour or 2 hours. You don't need an hour or 2 hours. Even if for those who are in the membership, you don't need longer than, again, 15, 20 minutes, 5 days out of the week. So even if you don't practice every single day, that's perfectly fine. If you can squeeze in, 20 minutes Monday through Friday or whatever day, that usually will work. And you'll still get the same kind of results that you would get if you were to practice for an hour, right? Because progression, it's really about what you do over time. It's not about how much you put into one session. That's not how our brains work. Our brains build muscle memory based on frequency of sessions, not necessarily the length of sessions. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, guys. So I want to go over, as far as the next thing I want to cover, this will be a really interesting or really simple exercise here. What I'm going to cover now, and I won't keep you guys for too long, we're going to go over the basics of how to play rhythm, or the basics of rhythm and how they show up in music. I'm going to give you guys a sheet music example. This isn't really about reading sheet music. This is really about understanding how rhythm actually works. And for me, showing you guys on paper is the best way for me to show you guys some examples of what I'm talking about here. I think I might have to turn my ring light off to show you guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over naming the basic rhythm notes, like quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes, and the role that they play in music. And we're going to go over some exercises in terms of how they show up, right? And this will get you accustomed to seeing rhythm in a more organized way, even if you're listening to it, rhythm patterns in songs, or even if you're putting songs together, this will give you a good blueprint. So let me see here. Let me make sure that you guys can see my iPad here. All right, I think that's good. So a couple of things you need to know. Number one, rhythm is broken up into what people call bars or measures, right? So we have, if you see in sheet music, you see these lines that, you have notes in between. You might have like a note here, you might have a note here, so on and so forth. The distance between this line and this line is called a measure or a bar. And most songs have more than one measure, more than one bar. What do these bars mean? These bars have a certain number of beats within them. And I'm giving you guys like the super, super basics of this. It goes a little bit more complicated than that. But again, this is just for today. So for example, we're going to deal with what we call a 4-beat bar. What does that mean? From here to here, you count 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So when you get to beat 4, you get to the end of this measure. And then when you go from 4 to 1, that begins the next measure, which is also 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the way that this is counted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so here we have to fill these beats with rhythm notes. So what do these rhythm notes look like? Again, there's different types. We're going to go over 3 super basic ones today. So this one here, we have a note that has a filled in circle and a stem. Whenever you see that, right, That one is called a quarter note. A quarter note is pretty much the most basic note that you can think of. And the length of a quarter note is going to be 1 beat. So it's 1 beat long. So whenever you count 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, think of a quarter note being assigned to each of those numbers. Quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, right? So if I were to fill these bars here with quarter notes, let me actually move this down. Let me go ahead and move this down a little bit further so I have some space. So if I were to fill this bar with quarter notes, it would be quarter note 1, quarter note 2, quarter note 3, quarter note 4. With this quarter note taking up beat 1, this one taking up beat 2, this one coming in on beat 3, this one coming in on beat 4. So they would be counted 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So that's one example. Now, the next one is something similar. It has the stem, but the circle is open. So there's no filled in circle. Whenever you see this one is called a half note, right? And a half note is going to be twice as long as the quarter note. It's going to be 2 beats long. And here's what that would look like if we were to fill a measure with half notes. You'd only be able to fit in 2 half notes because this one takes up beats 1 and 2. This one takes up beats 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's no longer 1, 2, 3, 4. It's now 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So if I were to play quarter notes here, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Half notes would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're longer. And before I get into the third note in my examples, again, if you have not grabbed my free Piano in 3 Steps video where I teach songwriters and producers how to play melodies and chords by ear that they can use in their next projects right away, the link is in the description box, or if you're watching this live, it's in the chat box. So go ahead and grab that. It's free. You can sign up. Make sure you grab it before you leave this session. So now, the last note that we're going to go over today is just the circle, right? There's no stem. There's no fill-in. Whenever you see this one is called the whole note. That one's going to be the longest. It's going to have 4 beats to it. So what does this look like in a measure? We're going to erase these guys. Because the measure itself is 4 beats and that note is 4 beats long, you'll only be able to fit one of these in here. And it's going to take up all 4 beats. So that means you're going to hold that note for all 4 beats. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So how does this look like if you are, let's say, putting a melody together, if you're putting chords together? I'm going to erase all of this because you guys will catch it on the replay. And again, this is all covered in the membership, but in further detail here. So let's go over some examples of how these rhythm notes show up. I did not mean to do that. Let me see. Here we go. So let's go over a 4-beat measure or 4-measure exercise. So we have measure 1, measure 2. Let's add 2 more just to make it, just to make it fun. So here, as a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to erase these. We're going to put these at the bottom so we can see a bigger screen here. So this is measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, measure 4. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write and mix up these notes that we just learned so you can see how they play out in actual music, right? So let's say this was going to be a tricky one, but I'm going to do that on purpose. Because again, this is about, understanding the concept. That is a horrible whole note there. Let's go ahead and rewrite that. All right. So here we have a mixture of quarter notes, half notes, whole notes. So let's go ahead and break down what this is actually showing here. So let's break this down measure by measure. We have 2 quarter notes, which means this one takes up beats 1, this one takes up beat 2, this one takes up beats 3 and 4. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, you'll notice that no matter how I mix these up, these will always equal 4 beats in each measure. So the next measure here, we have the half note first, then the 2 quarter notes. That means the first half note is going to play out for beats 1 and 2. Then we will have quarter note beat 3, quarter note beat 4. So the way that plays out is 1, 2, 3, 4. This was going to be tricky, right? So I want you guys to listen very carefully. This this quarter note is going to take up beat 1, and the half note is now in the middle. So what that does is it's going to take up beats 2 and 3, and that final quarter note is going to take up beat 4. So the way this is going to sound is going to sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. That one always tricks people up, but that's the reason why I put it in there. And then finally, we have our whole note, which we already know is going to take up all 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we were to go through this whole segment here, right, we go to all 4 measures. I'm going to count 4 beats in, and I'm going to walk you through how this is going to sound. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty much how basic rhythm is broken down. In terms of time signatures and figuring out how many beats are in the bar, that is all going to be covered, in the program. So you have some measures that are 4 beats long. You have some measures that are 3 beats long. So all of that is, more details, but I wanted to kind of get you guys in the door in terms of understanding how rhythm works, and then everything else in terms of complexities will be, easy to kind of digest once you guys get the basics. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Give me a yes in the chat box if that was helpful. Again, I'm still looking for questions if you guys have any. There's one more thing, and I'm going to let you guys go, because I know you guys have probably been thinking, okay, she's been mentioning this Piano 360 membership all evening. What is she talking about? I want to make sure that I didn't lose you guys in the process, because that's really important in making sure that I demonstrate my teaching style to you guys. For those of you guys who are new, I have a lot of OGs, but I also have some new faces in here, and I'm really glad that this session is helpful so far. So Mr. Chase gives me a thumbs up in the chat box. Miss Pam gives me a thumbs up. So we got Stelma, very, very helpful. I'm so glad, because if you're the type of person that is like, this is great, but I really need a deeper dive into this. So what is it that you have, Miss Ayana? You know that there's a pitch coming. Now, for those of you guys who have been in my the previous coaching membership, this is a more simplified version and a much cheaper version of the membership. So of the previous coaching. For everyone else, Ayana, what are you talking about? So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my little slides here. I want to make sure, again, if you have not hit the like button, please go ahead and just hit that like button. That's free, but it also helps this video to get pushed out to more people. So if you have not hit that like button yet, feel free to do so. It will be very, very helpful to the channel. Where is that screen share button here? Let me see. Share screen. Yep, share screen. So for those of you guys who are interested in knowing what I've been talking about with this Piano 360 membership, it's a very unique membership. Now let me know if you guys can see my my screen here. My what you call it? No, you can't. You guys cannot see it. Let me see. Let me go ahead and put it up. There we go. Okay, there we go. So here I have my Piano 360 membership, and what makes this piano membership very special is the fact that it caters to a specific type of student. So it's not like your traditional piano book membership or piano book lesson by lesson type of thing. we cater more to not just playing the piano, but also cultivating your creativity as, writers, songwriters, producers, people who just love making music. But it can also help you if you just like to play music as well. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So, well, it's not new anymore, so I need to change that. So what is the Piano 360 membership? It's an all-in-one piano learning with interactive lessons and instructor support with affordable, flexible access. And that's why I called it the 360, because I have a lot of students who they go to like one resource for learning how to read sheet music. They go to another resource to learn about ear training. They have to go to another resource to learn about jazz and all that stuff, or, chords. Everything that you need is in this program. It is designed to where you would not have to go anywhere else, which would save you money and resources. So we go over the bare basics fundamentals. We go over chords. We go over different genres. We also go over sight reading. And we also go over how to play by ear, not just melodies, right? We also go over how to play chords by ear. And you can expect, if you go through this program, you should expect to play your first song in the first month and be able to play both hands together, right? Including your left hand up to speed within the first 2 months. So how does this program work? The way it works, and I need to change this too. I keep forgetting to change this. So what you do is you get pre-recorded step-by-step lessons released into your account. It's no longer each week. They actually all get released into your account at the same time. And I'm constantly uploading new content. Currently, there's about a year's worth of videos in there. And each video is only like 10, 15 minutes long. So again, it's designed to make it simple for you guys to consume the content without feeling like I got to take an hour out of my day to go through this lesson. Each of these lessons are super easy. They're, again, 10, 15 minutes long. Now, the pacing of going through each of these lessons is maybe like one lesson per week that you would go through. It's a recording. You can, fast forward, rewind, repeat, replay, pause. So the way it works is each lesson goes over one concept, and the idea is for you to practice that one concept for the rest of the week, for whatever few days you want to do it. And this is a self-paced program, so you can go through the lessons as fast or as slow as you want. And the extra little perk is that you get to be a part of my private community where you'll be encouraged to submit your homework. So each lesson is going to have like, okay, we're going to go over this. Your homework is to practice this. And once you've gotten confident with it, you can just take your phone, record yourself doing that homework, and just uploading it in the group, where either myself or one of my other instructors will actually watch your video and give you feedback. So it's the same experience as you would get for private lessons without the private lesson price tag. So you get the learning experience and you get the one-on-one instructor support where you submit homework and someone actually looks at your video and gives you feedback. This is what you did right. This is what you need to improve on. So you get that ongoing support as you're getting through the lessons. And the lessons are not stagnant. The more you go through the lessons, they get progressively more advanced as you go, which is kind of the idea, because it's supposed to, again, mirror what private lessons are supposed to do, which you're supposed to get more advanced. So that's how the lessons are structured. The final component is we do a monthly live Zoom session, kind of like this one, but we deep dive on one particular topic, right? As a matter of fact, the next Zoom class will be this coming Thursday at 7, 8. Either way, it's this coming Thursday, right? And the Zooms will be recorded and uploaded into the membership. So if for whatever reason you can't make it, you'll be able to access the recording for as long as you're in the membership. So here are the benefits you get with interactive learning. So you get flexibility of time, because again, the lectures are self-paced. You can practice your lectures and submit your video homework at a day and time that's best for you. So there's no rigid weekly schedule that you would need for private lessons, which is a big deal because a lot of teachers, they have policies where if you miss a lesson or if you cancel a lesson, you don't get your money back for that lesson. Some teachers, they don't give you credits. If you miss a lesson, you miss a lesson. So we eliminate that issue here. You also get flexibility of access, which is one of the big differences between this program and my previous coaching program, where you had to be locked in for like 6 months. So although the goal is consistency and progress, if you need to cancel or pause the membership for an interval period of time and return, you can do that and not lose your progress. So even if you were to come in for like 2 or 3 months, something happens, you leave the country, you have to take care of a parent, you have to go you got a new job, whatever the case is, you have to take a break, you can say, hey, cancel the membership. So there's no contract that says you have to stay within a certain period of time. It's a month-to-month membership. Cancel, take whatever time you need to take, come back, and then you can start where you left off. And again, you get that real-time instructor feedback where instructors will review your video homework and provide you feedback, as well as work with you on the live group Zoom sessions where we do Q&A. So this is also the extra layer that makes this program unique, is you get membership benefits tailored to singers, songwriters, and producers. So not only do you get lessons on piano, but you also get resources to help you on the business side. So even if you're working on something, you get to share your work within the group. So in addition to piano homework, you get to share your new music, your works with the community. You also get the opportunity to collaborate with other professionals. Without saying too much, there are already people in the membership who have produced for A-list and B-list artists who are already in the membership. So it's not just like the average persons in the group. You have, regular learners, but you also have some heavy hitters in the membership as well. So you get to network on an exclusive level and get direct access to those types of people. And you also get marketing how-tos for artists. So the program is going to come with how-to articles, templates, and more on, let's say, topics like marketing, building your social following as an artist, getting more gigs, selling out shows, and much more. I'm actually going to be building that starting next week, but it's going to be in there. So all this is good, Ayana. How much is this program? All right. So here's how it works. If you join, there's a third option too. I forgot to put it in the slides. But if you join during this live, you get two options. Now, normally the membership is $99 a month. And again, you can cancel at any time. So there's no long-term contract. But if you enroll on this live, you can get it for $49 for the first month. Worst case scenario, you can try it for a month. You can see if you like it. You can see if it works with your schedule. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out for you, you can cancel before the next installment. And the most that you've lost is $49 for the first month. Best case scenario, if you like it, you can just stay in the program and then just do $99 a month. But at least you can get in on a low price today just to see if it's a good program for you. So that's the month option. I get some people who ask for the year option. So it's $9.97 annually. So you get to, shave a couple of $100 off if you want to do the annual. And if you want to do the annual today, you can do that for $4.97 for the first year, which means if you enroll today for the annual, you will not be charged again until December 4th. What's the date? The 4th of 2026. So you won't be charged anything for a whole year, and you only have to pay half for the first year. And then the next time you will be billed is this time next year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and provide the links in the chat box. So the first one is the $49 for the first month. I'm just going to put this in here. First month. That's the first thing I'm going to put in the chat box for you guys to go ahead and grab. And then the second link I'm going to put in there is going to be the $4.97 for the first year. So $4.97 for first year. That is going to be the second link I'm going to pop in there. Now, I did have one person last time I was doing a live where they asked for if I had a lifetime access where you just pay one time and you get, forever access to the program. I didn't consider it at the time because it's a membership. I didn't want people to feel like, oh, well, if you retire the membership, I need a partial refund, blah, 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 right? But I figured, since people have already asked for it, because some people just like to just pay one and done. I do have, for those of you guys who want to do the lifetime access, this one is not listed on my site. But if you want to do the lifetime access today, it'll just be a one-time payment of $27.97. So if you want to do that one, and again, to clarify, the $27.97 is a one-time fee, which means you pay it one time and you get access to the program forever. There's no ending to it. Even if I decide to retire the program sometime in the future, which probably will not happen anytime soon, you will still get infinite access to the membership and all the content. It will not expire. So that is the lifetime access. Again, is just one time, one and done, no extra charges. That is for that particular rate. So I'm only going to be on here for like another 10 minutes or so, because I know that you guys have things to do and I have things to do. So here's the thing. I'm going to just do a real quick recap. So we went over naming the keys on the keyboard. Let me go ahead and remove this. As a matter of fact, there was one more thing I wanted to show you guys. So once you enroll, right, what's going to happen is you're going to receive a confirmation email and text message and instructions on how to access your membership. If you already have a course within my school account, and if you use the same email, that membership will just show up in the exact same account. So if you put your email in the checkout page, and it's the same email that's associated with an existing account, it's just going to ask you to log in. So you'll just log in and you'll enroll, and that membership is going to pop up in the same account as the other courses that you already have enrolled in. That way everything kind of stays in the same spot. So real quick recap here. Let me go ahead and pop this out. So it's just me. So we went over naming the keys on the keyboard, right? We also talked about how to play piano melodies by ear and how to use scales to do that, right? Just giving some simple examples. And again, there are more in-depth examples in the membership. And we don't just do melodies by ear and just do those in different keys. We also go over chords by ear. We do those in different keys. And we also go over chord progressions, which chord progressions are just a series of chords that happen in the song. We do those by ear and we do those in different keys. So it gets really, really cool in the membership. And I guarantee you, you will not get that kind of lesson anywhere else. Like no other program has that kind of teaching style. And on top of that, not only do we go over chord progressions, but some of the homework is really going to encourage you to write music to the examples. So let's say, for example, I go, okay, here is a chord progression that we're going to learn today. And here are the different ways in which you can play the chord progression. Now your homework is to come up with your own arrangement of that chord progression. You will not get that kind of learning experience anywhere else, or that teaching experience anywhere else. So we went over the melodies, how to play melody by ear. We went over a simple left hand exercise. We also went over one of the chords that are used very, very often in R&B music, which is also used a lot in jazz music and a bunch of other cool genres. And we also talked about the basics of rhythm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the floor for you guys. I know that there's a few of you left. And I want you guys to go ahead and ask me whatever questions you want. It could be about something that I covered in this live. It can be about the membership, something specific. It could be about anything. It could even be about something that I didn't cover. You might want me to cover something that you may have always wanted to know. And I will, to the best of my ability, depending on how complicated the question is, I may be able to just go ahead and just cover it really quickly before we end, because I'm actually kind of just buying you guys some time to get into that membership. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat box. If there's anything you want me to cover, if there's anything you want me to clarify, if there's anything you want me to redo over again, feel free to ask me those questions. And most of you guys in here have my phone number anyway. You've been getting text messages from me about reminders for this class. So even if you have a question that occurs after the live ends and you missed your opportunity to ask it here, you can always text it to me. And the number that you guys get your reminders and stuff at, that's a textable number. So if you text it, it goes directly to me and I respond back. So again, if you come up with a question after the live is over and you're like, dang, I was supposed to ask that question, it came at 2 in the morning, don't text me at 2 in the morning. But if it, just text me later on that day and I'd be more than happy to help you. Other than that, if this was helpful, give me a thumbs up in the chat box. And again, if you have not hit that like button, please go ahead and do so, because again, it helps the channel get more reach. And it tells basically the YouTube algorithm that this is a good video and that it deserves to be shared with others, other people's news feeds and suggested videos and things like that. So like again, if this was helpful, thanks, Ayana. This was excellent. Mr. Chase gives a thumbs up. Awesome, awesome. I'm glad that this was helpful. I'm so glad that this was helpful to you guys. So again, my rule is if you guys don't say anything, I'm going to assume that you guys are good to go. So what I'm going to do, and for those of you guys, awesome, awesome. Just a teen girl and her dog. I like that's a cute little that's a cute screen name there. Miss Pam gives me a thumbs up. Excellent class. Miss Thelma says excellent class. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So here's what I'm going to do. Again, if you guys need additional help with enrollment, that you know, if you need help after the class, just shoot me a text and I'll be more than happy to help you enroll. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead. It's 8:26. We are an hour and a half into this class. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. But there's one more thing I'm going to show you guys before I close out of here. I do have another video on how to play piano rhythm by ear. So I showed you guys how to do it on paper, but there's a video on how to play piano rhythm by ear. I'm going to pop that in the chat box now, or if you're watching this as a replay, I will provide it on the end screen, so it'll show up either on the left or on the right. So listen to have a great weekend. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. You guys have an amazing weekend, and once this replay is up, I will give it to you guys. You guys will receive a text tomorrow. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care.